Hi everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome back to Toylytics, where we take a look at the analytical side of toy collecting. In this video, we're going to look specifically at the Covenant of Shadows wave as far as the secondary market is concerned in the second half of 2023. So, looking at the wave itself, the Covenant of Shadows figures went on pre order in June 2016, interestingly enough, alongside the All Stars 1 wave. So they were put up for pre order at the same time. It's hard to tell exactly when they came out. I wasn't really around in the Mythic Legions sphere back then, but I'm going to assume that they were actually released and mailed to customers in 2017, maybe early 2018. But certainly they have not been around for a while in their initial form. But as you can see from the roll call that we have here, a lot of these figures have been released or are going to be released, re-released in the future. The ones that haven't been re-released are Kador and the Knight Builder, the original Knight Builder, and their prices pretty significantly reflect that. So let's go over to our data and take a look at what's been going on in the second half of 2023 with respect to these figures. If you haven't watched a Toylytics video before, these data points all come from sold listings on eBay, both new, used, and repackaged figures. But they are complete figures, at least according to the listing. Complete figures, no parts or individual parts, also no lots or multiple figure sales, because it's hard to determine the value of each figure if they're being sold together in a bundle. So, taking a look at the sales from the second half of 2023, you can see that we have 198 sales total, which isn't a whole lot. If you watched our first video on the channel, I recommend that you do it. Kind of gives an introduction to all of the data that I've collected and sort of my philosophy for starting the channel. But there have been about 4,600 sales in the second half of 2023 in the Mythic Legions line, and this particular wave represents 198 of them, so not a whole lot, around a couple percent here or there. Okay, so looking at the table, as you can see here, a few of these figures have not been sold very much at all. Gorthok, the original Knight Builder, and Kador have not been sold very much. Probably because there aren't a lot of those figures out there, especially related to some of the others. The other ones were re-released in All-Stars and Reinforcements type waves, so it makes sense that there's a lot more of those figures there. Again, as I said in the video introducing the channel, I can't really distinguish between which figures were the original releases from the Covenant of Shadows wave and which ones came from the All-Stars. A lot of times the sellers on eBay don't even know, or they don't distinguish what the figure is, so it's hard to actually tell. The only one that we can tell for sure is the Silverhorn Sentry, and we'll take a look at those because we actually know in this data set when that was released, according to the Reinforcements 2 wave. So we'll take a look at these sales in more detail here. This graph is probably going to become a little bit more meaningful as we go and get more months rather than just 6. But, kind of splitting it out by month, you can see that some of them have a spike, like the Silverhorn Sentry had a spike in October. Probably makes a lot of sense as to why it had a spike, because that's when the Reinforcements 2 were shipped to people, and that's when they first became available. But some of the other figures, like this one here, what's that one? That's the Templar Knight. That has a pretty stable amount of sales per month, somewhere between 7 and 11. Right? And then some of these other ones, like, as you can see, Kador, not very many. Gorthok, not very many, and so on. Right? But as I said, that particular chart's going to be a little bit more interesting once we have more months of our data set that we're going to take a look at. The average price by figure here, as you can see, the Knight on average went for $345, Kador $168, everything else less than $100. Baron Voligar and Scaphoid, which were two. Baron Voligar was All Stars 3, Scaphoid All Stars 4, Torion All Stars 3. They all were re-released relatively recently, and Templar Knight, I believe, was in the Reinforcements 1 as well. So all of those have been relatively easy to get recently, but they are starting to dry up and their prices are starting to climb, right? So Torion on average $88, Templar Knight on average $80, Scaphoid, though, still hovering on average right around his retail price of $50. But Baron Boligar, starting to creep up there a little bit now. He's approaching 63. So let's take a look at the actual sales themselves. Right. So here are all of the sales by day of each of these figures. So let's take a look at each one and see if we can discern any sorts of patterns here. So we'll take a look at Baron Boligar first. So as you can see, we'll kind of zoom in on him. On average, he never really sold less than retail over this entire 6-month period. This is, again, the original Baron Boligar, not Baron Boligar 2 from the Alethea wave. We'll take a look at him later on. So around $50 here, a few of them sold, but in general, we're talking, 55 and up. And relatively recently, you haven't been able to get him other than this one sale in early December. The most recent sales have been $60 and up. So, I'm wondering if a lot of the initial stock of Baron Boligar started to dry up, and a lot of people are now having to pay a little bit more because not a lot of them are available. So something to keep an eye on in the future as we take a look at these sorts of sales further on over a longer period of time. So we'll clear him out. We'll go to Khador. Yeah, I'm going to skip over him pretty much because, again, only a few sales. There you go, right? Somebody was able to get $410 for him in December, so good on them. Sorry for the person that paid that. Everybody else paid somewhere around, $80 to about $160 for Khador. Okay. We're also going to skip over Gorthok because there are really only 2 sales. We can show it real quick here. One sold for 70, one sold for 110. We're going to definitely see more Gorthok sales as All-Star 6 comes out because he was one of the ones chosen for All-Star 6. So a lot more Gorthok to come in the future, but not a lot right now, which is probably one of the reasons why he was chosen as an All-Star, because it's really hard to get him. Same thing for the Knight Builder. Not a lot of sales here. One loose one for $240, one new one for $282, and then recently a loose one for $515. It's a lot of money, but can't really get it anywhere else. So somebody was willing to pay it, I guess. Okay, let's look at Scaphoid. We're a little more interesting here, a lot more sales. So for Scaphoid, for most of this 6-month period, he was available for less than retail, right? So this is retail. This is $50 here in the center, and you can see a lot of sales from the even sub $30 range, but mostly $40 to $50. Okay, but those have since dried up, right? So after, sort of mid-November, the only sales for Scaphoid have been sort of in this upper quadrant here that's been about, 48 and up. So, I'm thinking that a lot of the supply of Scaphoid has started to potentially dry up. This may be a time, if you see a good deal on a Scaphoid and you want one, you might want to pull the trigger on that because it seems like the price is going to increase in the future because no sales less than like $48 over the past month and a half or so. So hard to tell. We'll keep an eye on it in the future as we go. This is sort of the benefit of looking at the sales over time, is to sort of keep an eye on these trends. But for right now, if you see one at a pretty good price, if one gets listed for sub $50 and you're looking for the green bony guy, you might as well pull the trigger. I don't really see you getting one for much cheaper than that. Unless maybe you search on the Cabal or something like that, right? So again, these are all eBay listings because it's easier to collect the data there. Sometimes you see a lot of better deals on the Cabal. Okay, the most interesting one probably, the Silverhorn Sentry. Now, we could see a very clear distinction here between pre-Reinforcements 2 and post-Reinforcements 2. So here's, where Reinforcements 2 was in the middle of October. The sales before were 118 or so, 140, 150. I don't know about this one, right? This may be fake. This may be one where somebody didn't pay. I feel really bad for somebody who paid $500 for a Silverhorn Sentry right before the new one was released. Good on the person who was able to get that for it, but I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of that particular data point, but even still, even if we exclude that one as an outlier, you can see that the prices were well above $100 before reinforcements, and now after reinforcements, we've got prices from about 75 all the way down to 40. So The thing about reinforcements 2 that's a little bit different than other instances is that if you're not familiar, reinforcements 2 was an in-stock item, and you were only able to buy them by the case. You were only able to buy them by the whole wave together, and as a result, people weren't able to accumulate a whole bunch of them. It wasn't like a normal release where you could buy as many as you wanted to. So that's why the prices are still relatively high for one that is available, quote unquote, at retail, because it wasn't really available at retail unless you wanted to buy the full wave, and you were able to get online that one Saturday for the first 27 minutes or 17 minutes or so that they were available for sale. So, the reinforcements 2 sales are a little bit different than a lot of other all stars. So they still have a pretty significant value here, where even through December they were selling, above $60 or so, when the retail price, as we know, is only $50 for something like the Silverhorn Sentry. So we'll keep an eye on how this changes once they become available broadly. You can buy as many as you want in an in-stock sale. I'm assuming this price is going to come down. We're going to start seeing it much more like the All-Stars Baron Voligar, the All-Stars Scaphoid, that sort of thing. You should be able to get it pretty easily for that $50 retail price, but also potentially lower than that too. Okay, a couple more. We'll look at the Templar. All right, so this is the original Templar builder, and again, not really available a lot of places. I mean, retail's kind of dried up on these. We have a few that sold for around retail price, right? So some loose ones sold for around 50. This new one is a pretty good deal for 47.03. But then again, on average, we're looking for somewhere between 70 and 110. We have a few other outliers around here as well, but 70 to 110 for the Knight builder. It didn't seem like when we had the Templar Relic Guard that was released. I know totally different color scheme there. Didn't really seem to affect the price of the Knight or the Templar Knight builder as well. So we'll see how it happens in the future once we have those Templars from the Necronominus and the All-Star 6 waves. Probably the original Templar Knight may come down in price then, but we'll have to see. That's what the data is for. That's why we're looking at this. And then finally, we have Torion. Torion's kind of interesting too. Again, another, just like Baron Voligar, he came from All Stars 3. And this one, we kind of see as pretty significant downward trend. So pretty early in the half year, around July and August, he was selling pretty consistently for about $85 plus. But you can see that since, early October, none have even sold for $85, right? So his price is pretty much as low as it has been right now over this entire 6-month period. So, again, if you're looking for a Torion, he's already been in All Stars. He may not be released again. This may be a good time to pick one up because it seems like the price is coming down on him. So if you see one at a good price, maybe these have been some of the better prices here. So anything sub 70 seems like a pretty good price for a Torion right now. You want to pick one up, maybe for some parts or just because you like the character. You may want to decide to pick one up at this point. So that is it for the Covenant of Shadows wave. Thank you again for watching, and I hope this was interesting and informative for you. If you have any questions or comments or want to suggest some additional analysis that I can do related to Mythic Legions and every other Legions too, by the way, I also have Cosmic data, I have Figura Obscura data as well, so those videos will be coming out in the future on the channel too. But if you have any other ideas of analysis that you would like to see with this kind of data, please let me know. You can email me at toylytics@gmail.com, or you can just leave a comment and I'd be happy to reply to you in the comment section. So I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, as everybody else says, and I will see you again in the next Toylytics video. Take care.